Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have to tell you, watching the events unfold recently in Port Charles has been nothing short of a revelation. For so many years, we have all grown accustomed to a very specific version of Jason Morgan. We knew him as the silent enforcer, the man who stood in the shadows, the guy who would walk into a room and instantly command respect and fear. But right now, we are witnessing something that feels like a genuine earthquake in our beloved town. The idea that Jason is finally burying his old stone cold persona is not just a passing storyline. It feels like a profound, soul-deep transformation. It is like watching a long, harsh winter finally break into a gentle, hopeful spring. You know, we often say in this country that a leopard cannot change its spots, but seeing Jason lately makes me believe that anybody can turn over a new leaf if the reason is big enough and the heart is willing. And for him, that reason is undeniably his family. Let us talk about that incredibly brief, almost ghostly appearance he made at the Port Charles Psychiatric Hospital this week. He slipped in and out of that place so incredibly fast, it was like a shadow passing in the night. The reports say that only 2 souls even laid eyes on him, which, if we are being completely honest, is probably a blessing in disguise given the absolute chaos that usually follows in his wake. But what really struck me to my core, and what I cannot stop thinking about, is how the man looked. Jason looked absolutely worn down to the bone, like he was standing right at death's door. It was not just physical exhaustion that we saw, it was a deep spiritual fatigue. You could see the heavy weight of decades of violence, secrets, and constantly running taking their ultimate toll on his broad shoulders. It made me realize that the seemingly invincible enforcer is just a mortal man who is finally running out of steam. The very first thing he did with that last precious ounce of strength was go straight to his boy Danny. That simple action right there tells you absolutely everything you need to know about where his heart truly resides. He did not go to the mob headquarters. He did not go seeking revenge against his enemies. He went directly to his son. When they were trying to make their quick getaway, my heart was completely in my throat. I was on the edge of my seat. And then out of nowhere, Tracy Quartermain catches them dead to rights. Now, in the old days, this would have been the start of a massive screaming confrontation. But instead, we got a moment of pure, raw, beautiful humanity. Jason just laid it all out there, plain and simple, explaining that he and his boy just needed some time away together in a different place. And Tracy, bless her heart, she actually agreed. She just let him go. That moment was so incredibly powerful because it showed a silent, profound understanding between them. It is exactly like the old saying goes, blood is thicker than water. Tracy looked at this battered, exhausted man, and she did not see a dangerous mobster. She saw a desperate, loving father trying to save his relationship with his son. It was a beautiful, quiet acknowledgement of his roots and his underlying humanity. It really makes you wonder if this is the universe's way of telling all of us that the icy exterior of Stone Cold has finally melted for good, making way for a warmer, more vulnerable man. Let us really dig deep into why this massive change is so desperately needed right now, starting with young Danny. Growing up without a father is incredibly tough on any boy, but when your father is a local legend for all the wrong, dangerous reasons, that casts a very long and very dark shadow over your entire childhood. Danny is at that crucial, fragile age where a young boy is trying to figure out exactly what kind of man he wants to be in this world. Lately, we have seen him acting out in troubling ways, showing flashes of that same rebellious, reckless streak that defined Jason's own troubled youth. It is honestly heartbreaking to watch because you just know the boy is crying out for guidance, for someone to set firm boundaries and show him the right path to walk down. The absolute breaking point, the moment that really seemed to shatter Jason's heart into a million pieces, was hearing about what happened on the 14th of July. When Danny actually snitched on his own brother, Rocco, you could see the absolute shock and profound disappointment wash entirely over Jason's face. In the tough world Jason comes from, loyalty is absolutely everything. It is the golden rule. But it is more than just mob rules. It is about families sticking together through thick and thin. Realizing that his prolonged absence has left Danny morally adrift, making poor choices that go against the very core of family loyalty, was a massive, ringing wake-up call. Jason knows deep in his bones that he cannot just swoop in occasionally when it suits him. He needs to be a constant, steady, and highly moral presence in that boy's life. He has to step up to the plate and actually do the hard work of parenting. Then there is the unavoidable reality of Jason's age and his dangerous lifestyle. Let us be completely honest here, folks. There comes a time in every single man's life when he has to look himself square in the mirror and admit that he is not a spring chicken anymore. Jason is getting a little too old to be running around the docks in that heavy black leather jacket, especially when it is always accompanied by a loaded shotgun. It is a young man's dangerous game, and the heavy toll it takes on the physical body and the mental state is just far too high to sustain forever. The adrenaline thrill is completely gone, replaced by a bone-deep, soul-crushing weariness. He is finally realizing that living by the gun means you are always looking over your shoulder, waiting for the other shoe to drop, and that is absolutely no way to live when you have a young son who desperately needs you alive, well, and present. All the signs in the wind are pointing to a monumental, life-changing conversation that is about to happen with Sonny Corinthos. I can just picture it now in my mind's eye. It is going to be incredibly difficult to sever those deep ties, to look his longtime friend, brother-in-arms, and boss right in the eye and say he is hanging up his boots for good. But it is so incredibly necessary. The mob lifestyle is a completely toxic environment, a terrible, violent example for a highly impressionable young man like Danny. Jason has made it crystal clear to himself that he wants out of this dangerous underworld as soon as humanly possible. I honestly believe that when he comes back home from this trip with Danny, there will be absolutely no room for negotiation or compromise. He is going to draw a firm line in the sand, bite the bullet, and walk away from the darkness, choosing the bright, warm light of fatherhood instead. Finally, we absolutely have to talk about the most beautiful and poetic part of this whole incredible journey. Jason finally returning to his Quartermaine roots. For decades, ever since that tragic, awful accident wiped away his memories and his original identity, he has been a man completely adrift, building a chaotic life out of misplaced loyalty to the dangerous streets rather than to his own flesh and blood. But time has a funny, miraculous way of healing even the oldest and deepest of wounds. We have seen him slowly, almost reluctantly at first, maturing into his rightful role as a true member of the Quartermaine family. Living at the grand old Q mansion, spending quiet time in those hallowed historic halls, it has clearly and undeniably softened his rough edges. His growing, unexpected closeness with Tracy is particularly touching to witness. She is the fierce matriarch, the tough-as-nails guardian of the family's grand legacy, and for her to genuinely accept him, and for him to openly accept her, it feels like a massive generational circle is finally closing. It is never, ever too late to come home, folks. No matter how far you wander off the path, the front porch light is always left on for you. Now, I am certainly not saying we are going to see Jason suddenly walking around town wearing stuffy three-piece suits and silk ties like Ned Quartermaine. That would be a bridge way too far, and frankly, it just would not be the Jason we know and love. But we are seeing a man who is finally making true peace with his complicated past. He is finding a wonderful, healthy middle ground. He can still be incredibly strong, he can still be fiercely protective of those he loves, but he simply does not need to be cold and unfeeling anymore. He can fully embrace his rich heritage, acknowledge that he is a Quartermaine through and through, and use that powerful legacy to build a stable, loving, and safe environment for his precious son. It is all about finding a calm, safe harbor after a long lifetime of surviving terrible storms. The idea of a kinder, gentler Jason, a man who values a quiet, peaceful evening at home with his boy over a dangerous, thrilling night out on the docks, is just absolutely wonderful to think about. It gives me so much genuine hope for the future of this entire family. Watching this beautiful evolution unfold on our screens is exactly like reading a beautifully written, classic novel where the weary hero finally realizes that his absolute greatest strength is not his flying fists or his weapons, but his large, beating heart It is a timeless story about true redemption, about the enduring, unbreakable power of a father's deep love, and about the inescapable magnetic pull of family ties. I truly and deeply believe that this brand new chapter for Jason is going to be the most rewarding and satisfying one yet, not just for him as a man, but for all of us devoted folks who have faithfully followed his bumpy journey through all these long years. It is a wonderful, timely reminder to every single one of us that no matter what terrible mistakes we have made in our past, we always possess the power to change our story, to step up to the plate, and to be the good people our loved ones so desperately need us to be. I cannot wait to see where this beautiful road takes them next, and I hope you are all just as excited as I am.